Hey guys, now a lot of you probably have been listening to the news about the conflict in the Sudan and stuff like that. Um, the recent overthrow of the previous strongman military um, leader and deposed president, Omar al-Bashir. He was the one that was up for criminal charges over the war in Darfur. It's a region to the west, borders with Chad. Um, there was fighting over resources because that's really what it was, a resource war, which ended up killing about 300 odd thousand, it's estimated, displacing 2.7 million, again, estimated. Um, and at the time, the key group that was involved was the Rapid Support Force. This same force, just to give you a bit of a sort of inside information, they are also operating in Yemen, um, and are very much close allies of the United Arab Emirates and the Saudis in that conflict. So there's a bit of things are all over the place. Usually like in the Libyan conflict, the Saudis and the Egyptians and the Emiratis are all together behind Haftar. In this conflict, they are separate. Egypt is supporting the Sudanese armed forces of Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, and the the Libyan National Army, so that's the Haftar group, and Wagner group, which is pretty much, think, Russia. They're pretty much supporting the rapid support forces of Mohammed Hamdan. So yeah, and people wondering, and the Egyptians are also that are supporting the other side are also being supported by the Americans, but that's a bit covert in that regard. So what's all this war about? Most of the news will say, oh well, it's two warlords, fighting and squabbling, got rid of the previous president, and now there's mayhem between them, and they control certain resources and all that. Is that really what it's about? Or have you been, let's say, had? I think you've been had. Okay. So let me explain what's happening. What's in Darfur? Gold, my dears, gold. Yes, the stuff you get in bars, gold. This is all about gold. What's the Wagner group doing there? Well, securing gold for the Russian Federation. That is what it's all about. Okay? So, why did I call it in my previous one? Another Arab Spring organized by Uncle Sam. Why? Because Uncle Sam wants to circumvent the important trade in gold for the Russian Federation. So what's that all about? Okay. In the Second World War, I have to step back to explain some of this. The German advancement into Eastern Europe and elsewhere also expropriated a lot of gold, which they funneled through neutral Switzerland, and neutral Switzerland provided them with certain commodities that they couldn't get in the open market. Got it? So, who's doing the Swiss work in this game? Well, the Wagner Group ship all their oil payments, their gold payments to Qatar and to the United Arab Emirates. They sell it in those markets. This is why the United Arab Emirates is not supporting Egypt in this conflict, but is on the other side of the fence. And they are doing a few very, very important deals. They are providing certain commodities which the Russian Federation needs, and the payments are happening in gold. So they sell the gold, they get foreign currency in banks within the Middle East, and then they use that money to buy commodities and they ship them to Mother Russia. Now, obviously, the US knows about this. Now, they can't outright escalate things with the Arabs. Their relationships aren't that good. So they want to circumvent the trade. So they are undertaking another democracy effort, another Arab Spring in Sudan. And Uncle Sam's there to save the natives from themselves and impose American democracy on them in order to prevent those pesky Russians from financing, with gold, access to certain strategic commodities. Yes, yes. Who would have thought? That's what's really happening. And the Sudanese are basically in the thick of it. So, yes. Again, another resource war with geopolitical implications. That's really what's happening behind it. The rest of it is just for show. And this conflict didn't need to happen, but was escalated by the US in particular to force this conflict and to impede this trade. It's really what it's about. So they were hoping that they could actually utilize those forces with Egyptian support to deal a mighty blow against Wagner and the rapid support forces. That's what it was about. It didn't go so well. Seems Biden doesn't really do really well with geopolitics. They try, they fail, and then they look for another conflict. So yeah, so it's a bit of a mess, obviously. But when Uncle Sam's involved, especially with a demented person like Biden, you can expect things to go really pear-shaped. And obviously, this has gone pear-shaped because the Wagner Group is still managing to get some of their gold shipments out of the country and to their friends in the Gulf region, and able to then get the commodities that they need to ship back to Mother Russia. So, yeah, that's really what it's about, guys. So the rest is all of smoke and mirrors and certain parties in that part of the world being manipulated in this conflict. So America's been putting a lot of pressure on the al-Sisi government in Egypt to basically support the anti-Russian forces, and pretty much the Emiratis, the Qataris, the on the other side, also Haftar, are all collaborating and supporting the Russian interests in that part of the world. So yes, another bit of, let's say, the Russian bear and Uncle Sam are having another little fight in another part of the world. That's what it's about. Anyway, that's it. See yous.